Hello, everybody. My name is Leroy Montgomery, and this is day 3 of the Post Traumatic Stress Challenge. This is your first time seeing this. It's 25 days of doing 25 push ups each day and bringing awareness to post traumatic stress, being it veterans and all Americans. And I guess what you're supposed to do is call somebody out to do the challenge each day. And if you've been watching me do this, I haven't been calling anybody out. Uh, if you're watching the video, if you want to do the challenge. I mean, if you got a story or you got something motivational to say or whatnot, then I would implore you or encourage you to make a video, speak what's on your mind, knock out 25 push-ups on camera, and keep up with the challenge or pass it on to somebody else. All right, so day 3 of this. Ooh, when we talk about post-traumatic stress, you know, you had the aspects of post-traumatic stress that everybody knows about, things that can be traumatic. There are experiences that we go through that most people don't talk about. And I'm not talking about the more conventional or the stuff that you know about. I mean, things that most of us don't want to talk about because we feel like if we tell somebody about it or bring it up, people going to look at us and think like, "Oh, this dude needs a psych evaluation." I mean, he might be a couple beer cans loose of a six pack. Um, trauma, trauma. And it's weird because this is. I thought about this last night. If I really want to talk about it, and I really have to think about it because there are certain things that I don't like to think about and I don't like to share. And there's a reason why I try to forget most of that stuff. Some experiences you got to it gets to a point as you get older. I know I go through this. I'm pretty sure there's people out there that go through it where you will look at some experiences that you had throughout the course of your life, and some of those experiences you will look back and then you have to ask yourself like, did that really happen? Is that what it was? I don't know. I mean, maybe I might have dreamed that one up, or whatever. So some that could be post uh, cause traumatic stress. Uh, One thing I used to deal with, and it started off in my childhood, and I dealt with it a couple of times as an adult. I hadn't had it in a while, and the episodes of dealing with it, they haven't really been as bad as before. But one of the things I dealt with was sleep paralysis. At least that's what it called. What it's called. Uh, Another term for it, I guess, is old hag syndrome or witch on your back. So what it is that you fall asleep and then I guess you wake up and you're not fully awake. I mean, you can see, but you can't move your body. And sometimes you see something else that really ain't there, or maybe it is there, but I don't know if it's even a condition at this point. But I've had those experiences. I mean, I've had it. There's 3 instances I can remember in my life, and these were the scariest ones. The first one, and I can't say this was the first one I ever had as a child, but I remember the first one was as a kid. I was asleep in my bedroom or whatnot. I don't know. I think my door might have been closed or whatnot. In any case, I was knocked out, freaking sleeping on side. I remember waking up in the middle of the night. I didn't move, but I woke up and I promise I felt like there was something else on the bed behind me. Like you felt the weight of the bed shift a little bit, and it felt like something was breathing on the back of my neck. That shit scary. And the funny thing is me and my mom lived together. She was in another room snoring, so I knew it wasn't her in there. I was like, I just fucking laid there, just quietly, like, and then I fell back asleep, woke back up, and that was done deal. I knew I didn't dream that shit up. To this very day, I remember that one. So I don't even know if that wouldn't even count as sleep paralysis because I could move. I was just too fucking scared to move. All right, so the actual sleep paralysis one. This one was actually I lied. It wasn't 3; it was 4 of them. But I'm gonna try to keep it going. So, and the first really scary one was when I was stationed in Daegu, South Korea. I was with the 188th Military Police Company, And when as an MP, especially if you're stationed in Daegu, most of the time you work in the road. I mean, you get different cycles within the company. You work the road for one cycle, then you go on field training for another cycle, and then maybe you're doing stuff around the company for the next cycle. Then boom, you go back. I think it's 3 phases or maybe two. Not 100% sure. So I remember I was on road cycles, patrol cycle. So when you stationed in South Korea, I don't know if they still do this. This was back in, if I'm remembering correctly, this is either 2009 or 2010. 2000, toward the end of 2009 into 2010. So on those bases, the base is shut down at a certain point. I think it might be 11 or 12 a.m. So if you station in South Korea, and especially if you're in Daegu at Camp Walker, that's where I was, Camp Walker. If you're on Camp Walker, you know the curfew. So don't be that guy or girl that be outside the base. The whole rule is if you stay off base, you better be able to get a hold of somebody by phone, and you better be off the street. You better be in the hotel room or in the bar that's locked down somewhere. Because KP patrol is a serious deal. They don't play that. So the battle buddy system is, especially among MPs, is no joke. So in any case, I'm working road cycle, and actually, I was stationed at Walker, but this might have been a different. There was a couple different uh, bases we worked on, but I think this was on Camp Walker. So in any case, working the base, working night shift, working 12s, and it's not uncommon that when you drive around, ain't nothing going on for 12 hours. Like when the base is locked down, there's really no activity. There's no stores open. There's no bars. Everybody's in their room. There's no cabs running. Done deal. The night's over. We stay in the barracks. And around that time, we weren't getting called to the barracks. I mean, very few incidences of that happening. Usually, uh, I guess South Korea is looked at as like the party spot or whatnot. So people go there, and especially if you're coming out of base training, it's probably not the best place to go as your first duty assignment because they say it's a lack of discipline. At least they were saying that when I was in. I don't know now. Here in 2020, it might have changed. Things might have gotten better. But in any case, I'm working the road this night. I forget who I was working with. I can't remember the kid's name, but I remember this particular instance. So we driving around. He's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. Ain't nothing going on. Everything's shut down. It's late at night. I was like, look, man, just pull off the road for a bit, sit back, close my eyes, and get rest because I can't think of shit else to do. So in any case, I'm sitting in the car. In my seat. I doze off. I'm out of it. And I had this vivid dream. And there's two parts to this particular story. I had a vivid dream that me and him, we were either outside of the vehicle or somewhere on base in a hospital, and we were wrestling with a psych patient, like a real nut job. And I remember what the dude looked like. He was like in the dream, he was a heavier set white guy, bearded face. He had hair, but he was bald, and so the hair went back along the sides where it was kind of long rag, like a rag, and nothing on top. So he's bald. And I had a dream. We went hands on with the guy, and the motherfucker bit me. I'm like, Jesus Christ, get him off. So in any case, I woke myself up out of that dream. Now this is the scary part. In the dream, this is a guy. When I woke up, I'm in the patrol car. I'm awake, but I'm paralyzed. It feels like I can't move or whatever. And this night it was raining. I can't move or whatever, and I'm trying to shake myself awake, and I'm stuck. And I'm looking out my passenger side window, and sure as shit, as I'm trying to move, I see that same guy standing there. But this point, it's not a person. It looked like a ventriloquist dummy. In other words, it's the same guy, same look, fucking raggedy hair, a beard, no hair up on that centerpiece. But I could see as a ventriloquist doll, I could see the lines like a puppet and the dots on the cheeks. And it's like he's sitting there, and I'm not going to do this face because I'm not trying to be funny right now. But he's looking at me, and then he's looking at my partner. He's looking back at me, then he's looking at the partner. Now I'm trying to wake up. I mean, I'm awake. I see what's going on. My partner, he had those. He woke up. Oh shit! He seen me over there shaking because I'm banging my knee against the console. And he grabbed me. He's trying to wake me up. I'm looking out the window, and I see this dude. And I finally snapped out of it. And when I snapped out of it, and I feel my motor functions where I can move. The image that I was looking at, it didn't just disappear, just go away. It was almost like he was there, and when I snapped out of it, he ducked down behind the car or that door. So I pop out the vehicle. I didn't even tell him what was going on. He's like, "What the fuck's going on?" I draw my weapon, and I'm scanning. I'm looking around for this dude, and we're next to a Connex. So I'm thinking like this motherfucker ran in here. So I come in. I'm drawing. He don't ask no questions at this point. He backs me up. He draws. All right, what we doing? Rolling there. I didn't see nothing, and I mean, I guess it wasn't real. So I'm a little shook up. I'm like, all right, fucking holster my weapon. We walked back. I was like, what's going on? I was like, yeah, man, let's get the fuck out this area. Drove around. I think when we parked somewhere where it was a little bit more well lit, kind of on the streets, and you know where we are. I felt a little better, and I kind of told him the story and all that. And yeah, that's how that happened, how that ended. And that was that story. So that was one of the scariest cases of sleep paralysis I ever had. And to this day, I don't know if that was. I really felt like that was real. Like I witnessed what I saw, but I don't tell many people that shit because that might be traumatizing people. See, when you tell somebody like that, tell somebody that, people's first reaction is like, "Oh, you were just having a dream," or "You might need to go get some help," or "I don't know, man. Did you eat something? Whatever." Everybody, people are dismissive when you tell them shit, and that's kind of why I've ingrained myself in not talking to people about my experiences. I like to keep quiet. So, in any case, that's the first time that shit happened to that point. So sometime later, I'm stationed at Fort Eustis, Virginia. Fort Eustis, Virginia is the same thing. You work in the road as a 221st Military Police. So 12-hour shifts. I'm on night shift. I was on night shift for that last one. I was on night shift for this one. 12-hour shifts, you rolling all that or whatnot. So you get off shift. Usually you're supposed to go do PT with the unit, then you go back to your room, go to sleep. Wake up the next day, start again. So this incident is in the daytime. Like I had gotten off shift. I think I did PT with everybody. I just went straight back to my room. I laid down and it hit me twice. The paralysis hit me twice that day. It's like I laid down the first time and then I was awake. And like as my eyes started closing, I just felt like something surged and I was stuck and I couldn't move. I'm like, wait, what? But I wasn't seeing anything. It was just that whole thing of what is going on. I don't know if it's anxiety. I don't know if this is stress or whatnot. So snap out of that. Then this time I freaking roll over and I'm on my side. Normally, if I'm on my side, this shit doesn't happen. So I'm kind of a little shocked right now, but I'm going back to sleep. And it felt like something flew from one corner of the room straight behind my head and hit the back of the pillow. And when I felt that, it was like when it hit, that paralysis shit happened again, and I was like stuck there. So I snapped out of that one, and I didn't think much of it. And this happened at different points in my life for years. I mean, I don't deal with that shit now, at least not recently in memory, but it happens sometimes. The last one I remember, and this one I don't know if I can count as sleep paralysis. And this is what I uh, will say. This was a night or a morning that I got off work. I didn't do PT. I just came back to the room, still had my uniform on, and just crashed on the bed. And I went to sleep. Now I'm laying there, and and I don't get into deep sleep. There is a point, and especially most people know this when you're actually when you're sleeping light, you in and out, wake up. When you actually in the deep sleep, that's the point where you start snoring, especially if you're laying on your back. When you're in that deep sleep, it's almost like you've sunken more further into yourself or whatever. And if you become conscious of it over time, you can actually wake yourself up out of that, or you know that you're doing it. This particular day, I've fallen in that deep sleep. My eyes are closed, and I'm laying there, and I promise, I felt myself. It felt like I levitated off of the freaking bed, and I never felt that before. It was like I felt like I was getting. My eyes were closed. I felt like I was getting higher and higher, and it's like I was gonna keep. I was just gonna stay in that sleep and see where it would take me because I felt myself. Felt like I was getting to the ceiling. I wake up and it felt like I fell back on the bed, like instantly. Like I'm like, I don't think I slept good the rest of that damn day because those are it's silly. Those are the experiences to me that are traumatic. And I call it sleep paralysis and stuff like that. But as time went on, I started finding out about spiritual oppression or demonic oppression. And it made me wonder because, for the sleep paralysis, people scientifically explained that you're stressed out, you're not getting enough rest. It could be your diet or whatever else. I would have to reread on it, but sometimes that's what it is. And I was stressing, like getting toward the end of the night. I'm working nights, smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, working the odd hours. So sometimes I would chalk it up to that. But I used to have that shit when I got out too. And and the funny thing is, it will only happen if I was sleeping by myself or if I had the lights out completely, like sleeping in darkness. And I dealt with it or whatnot, and try not to let it get to me. Another thing with that is that going through those experiences, and I'm gonna get to a point about this, but between going through those experiences, and I also throughout the years have ran into people who, and I hope you really stand with me on this right now. But I've run into people who I guess get involved in the magic or look into that kind of stuff. And when you're young, you got a curious mind about things. I learned a long time ago without even having to do it from seeing how people are, not to mess with certain things. I don't go looking. But I know people who have played with Ouija boards and some. I don't know if I can even call tarot cards or that astrological stuff even part of this, but I kind of look at it as being magical or whatnot. But there's this stuff I don't deal with, and then I've ran into people with this one, and this is the one that this is outside the military. This is years later, and I'm not going to go into this too deeply. No names. I'm not going to say what situation it was in and all that, because this is one of those situations that I put behind me. No shame on anybody else that's gone through this or knows what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, shut up and don't say shit. Just stay in your lane. But I've dealt with this where some people are oppressed themselves. And it's like, especially if you're dealing with somebody close to you or whatnot, you seeing that. I was seeing things that to this very day, I still have to question my sanity on like whether I saw it or not. And the funny thing is, when you're a cop, or military law enforcement, when you provide CPR to somebody, you know to do certain things to, keep them conscious, wake them up, like, sternum rub or whatever. Hey, 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 excuse me, sir, shake them, grab them or whatnot, little thing. And especially if use of force, the nerve portions. I can't remember all of that. Get somebody going that you're gonna get a reaction out of them. But and I've seen this shit where somebody pass out and you can't even get them out of it, or they become conscious again, but it's not them. At least it doesn't seem like them. Like they saying some off the wall shit and acting a certain type of way. And this is something I'm not gonna go deep into that, but you know, it is what it is. Things in this world will shock you. But I will say this. And it's not even and when I talk about this stuff, you gotta realize when we get into this realm, because most people are spiritual, if you believe in God, if you think we are spiritual beings in the body going through a human experience or vice versa. If you can believe that, then you can believe other things. And there's a point, because we're talking about post traumatic stress. There's a point to this, but if I'm explaining that I'm going through that, there are so many different stories I've heard from people, some in the military and some outside of experiences they went through that I'm like, I put it to you this way, I was blessed in my situation for those. Because if I had the choice between dealing with some of that stuff again and dealing with what they deal with, I'll stay on this side. And I'm not going to tell some of those stories. I mean, if it's traumatic for them, they'll talk about it. If they don't, then they don't. I've had those experiences of that. And then when I say other people, I know people who have had experiences where they physically have actually been out somewhere and actually seen things and they scared to death to talk about it. Like they will never bring it up to nobody. They might tell a close friend or whoever, but if that topic ever came up, they don't want to be associated with it. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Here's one for you. And this I don't like talking about this stuff. It's funny sometimes, and it's not funny because if you're one of those people, if you're looking at this video, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, wherever, if you're looking at this video and you're one of these people who have dealt with this and all that, understand something. We all have a set of experiences and things that we go through. Some stuff I've seen, some you've seen, some things I never understand and don't want to see. But you got those people who, especially people that live out in different areas of the United States, and then people who live in different countries, where they out in the woods and they see something and all that. The funniest, not, and when I say that, I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm not going to say it's funny, but for years we've always talked about this crap with Bigfoot, and to be honest with you, if he's out there, he's as elusive as it gets. That is the hide and seek champion of the world since the beginning of time, because whatnot. And then there's the dog man one or whatever, where there's a real life werewolf running through the damn woods and they're evil. And people talk about this stuff. People, and I'm not making fun of anybody, and I'm trying to be respectful when I say this. To them, that is a traumatic moment. Like you have guys. I've listened to some of their stories who are avid outdoorsmen. They're hunters. They love being out in the woods. They know the terrain, and they go out there and they do that. And then they'll have an encounter with something, and they'll tell you straight off the bat. And not only do they move out the area, they do not look at the woods the same way. They wouldn't touch it. It's like, nah, I'm done with that. You don't have no more? Nah, bro, I'm good. Oh, you don't want to? Hell no. I said I'm good. Don't ask me again. Well, what's scaring you, motherfucker? So that's how it is. And the thing is like, when we're in everyday society, we dealing with everyday stuff. So if I see somebody get hit by a car and I'm traumatized by that, that's something that most people can relate to something like that or can understand that better because a car, a person, cars exist, people exist. They two collide, makes sense. I get that. But now suddenly you're talking about a hunter in the woods, this unknown area of something I've never heard of. You encountered this right here and you relay into the story to me. I'm not seeing it. I don't get it. Nah, I don't think that's real. That's how people are. And when you've been treated like that, it, or if you've seen other people get ridiculed for something like that, then you understand people are not willing to open up with those experiences and tell anybody that. But what makes those experiences scary is the fact that they've seen it. And what's traumatizing, I'm assuming on this one, but I can tell you from the experiences that I had and things that I'm not going to talk about in this video. Some things that are traumatizing that you can't talk about that you've witnessed, the traumatizing point of it is that at that point, like I said, with experiencing things where you have to reconcile with it and realize this is the world you live in, when you run into something like along these lines and experience that, that becomes that experience of now I have to reconcile with this, but I have to accept that I live in the world with this. And when it's something that's kind of when you question your sanity on it, now you start when you deal with something out of the ordinary, extraordinary. When you deal with something out of the norm to that level, now you're reevaluating how you look at life. And it's not even in terms of actually even thinking about that I live in a world where this exists. You're trying to figure out how to even move on from this because now that I've crossed this level, how do other things how can I see the world the same way? How can these other things be of importance to me? So I give you an example. Right now in 2020, no, what's the hot topic? COVID-19 pandemic and racial tension. That same shit, different day. Stuff that I've been seeing over the years is probably more off the chain this year because now we actually experiencing it. But you got all these different groups. You got people protesting on the left, protesting on the right. Everybody sees the world on side this way, and people on the side see it another way. There's middle ground somewhere in there, and people trying to stay out of it, but that's the focus. It's a freaking circus. And I sometimes why I don't really delve into that stuff or why I don't really care to think about it. I mean, I've talked about it and made posts, but at this stage of my life, I just don't really care to get involved with the what I'm gonna call it human affairs, that kind of stuff. I just don't right now care about dealing with it because it's the one aspect of trying to be happy, but two, when we're dealing, these are man-made issues, and the only people that are arguing about it is mankind. People are being people and dealing with related situations. So I'm listening to this shit over here, but I got in the back of my mind all this stuff over here I done dealt with, which doesn't even correlate with none of this. So I'm already dealing with something back here that makes no sense to me that I'm trying to grapple with. But you suddenly want me to come over here and be focused on this shit. And this is nothing new. This is part of history. This is society. This is the stuff that we deal with. That's what I'm supposed to be concerned about. All right, fine, whatever. Yeah, I'll play your game. So, uh, trying to bring this to a close. Those experiences are traumatic for people, especially the ones that have seen stuff or whatever. And it's traumatic for them because, like I said, you don't have an outlet, and you have to change your whole mindset of thinking. And one person I know of, he said he's an avid hunter, and he's built his business around that. And after his experience, he goes to say that basically, he still goes out in the woods. It's easy to find this kind of stuff if you're one of those people that want to go to look for, although he would not recommend it. When you've been in the woods in that field doing that kind of stuff, and you get to know the terrain, you know the animals and stuff like that, and you become, it's not even necessarily becoming an avid outdoorsman. It's basically becoming somebody who actually knows how to handle terrain and live in that environment. When you've been doing that most of your life, you know the signs to look for. So when people, especially with these damn shows, man, people going on these quests looking for stuff and all that, making all kinds of noise, got a camera crew with them and all that, don't know shit about shit. When it comes to outdoor, they don't know survival. They don't know how to make a fire, but they got a crew with them. They supposed to be by themselves, but somebody's holding that camera watching them. It's a joke. It's entertainment. In real life, anybody can tell you that knows that stuff, especially people that work at rangers or work in forestry service or bureau of land management. People who do all that outdoor stuff that know terrain. They tell you straight up off the bat. That's something you want to see. They know how to find it, and they gonna give you the tips, and you go off and look for it. You either gonna become a believer at that damn point, or we ain't gonna ever see your ass again. Whatever happens. But this guy, he say that he doesn't. He knows where it is, so he knows what areas to stay out of. At a certain point, he get his ass up out of there and take it back to the crib. He cannot. He'll tell you, you there's no way after knowing this you can ever sleep comfortably in the woods. You always, because on one end when you hunting, part of your attention is focused on this. Most of your attention is focused on this back here. Like I might be stalking this damn deer, but what the fuck is stalking behind me? So and that's not even just that. Hell, even with natural predators, you already got something to worry about. So now you got what you focused on. You got the regular threats that you know of, and now you got something of the unknown back here. All of it kind of closing in on you. So what I'm gonna get at with this is that for people who deal with that kind of post-traumatic stress, that shit or whatever, here's what I'll tell you, and this is something I've discovered for myself. I've become more, and I sometimes go to war with this, but I've become more of a spiritual person. When I say I become spiritual, like for instance, I was brought up Christian in the Baptist church. So I don't live 100% by the Bible. I don't know anybody that lives 100% by any book. I'm sorry, I don't know one. I know people who know the text. I know people who will throw something out there, inspiration. People who will live part of that walk, but not 100%. But I cling on to that belief in Jesus and all that, and that's me. And you know what? I'm not even going. I don't want to get too deeply into this because even with that particular thing, then there's more debates on that, and I just don't care for it. I believe in the higher power. I believe something is looking out for me. I pray. I choose Jesus. That's what I go with for right now until I discover something else or learn more of what I believe in. And I've noticed with the sleep paralysis, even that stuff. Once I got more into praying, things have gotten better, and also learned not to stress. That is one thing that I'm pretty good at is not stressing because I realized something when I was coming back into reality, especially when I talk about oppression. And this kind of leads into those going back. If you go back to the first two videos I talked about vices. I talked about things that can cause you post-traumatic stress and how people deal with it. Here's how this oppression stuff comes into play. When you are at your lowest point, when you were so depressed, when you were questioning things, whether you're going down that road of these vices and stuff like that, you make yourself, if you believe in the spiritual world or religious, then most people, you understand this to a degree. And if you're one of these people who've experienced this, you definitely understand what I'm saying. When you go down those roads and you let all that stuff bother you and you taking yourself to your lowest point, that's when you open up the door for things like demonic oppression and other things come in your life. There's a saying, verse in the Bible. I can't remember the chapter, but it's saying something, or and I don't know if it's straight from the Bible or this is an old saying, but you probably heard this before. You can live in this world, but don't be of this world. What I've come to understand with that is that, in other words, you can live amongst people and do whatever you do, but you don't have to do everything everybody does. You don't have to be just like everybody else. You don't have to fall into the trends and fall into the thought processes and I guess be sheep. I don't know. But being different. The thing is when we're engaged in the stuff that we do, whether it's our vices or other behaviors and things like that, when we're being a part of this world and disengaging in what's popular and stuff like that, you will probably most of the time, some people will have those that spiritual demonic oppression. You'll experience that. Some people won't, because I will have to think, and this is just my opinion here. When you're already doing things that reality you're not supposed to be doing or engaged in that activity, then the enemy, whoever he is or whatever he is, doesn't really have to mess with you too much because it's like, you know what, you doing exactly what I want you to do. I don't got to pick with you too much. You stay on that. Let me go mess with this one over here. I've noticed this right here, and this is what cements my belief more spiritually and why it is that I don't stress and why I try not to hold on to things that are traumatic or I use those traumatic experiences to teach me a little better. I've noticed they say speaking things into the universe, you bring it into existence. So anytime I've been at a point where I went through some stuff, whether I was dealing with people or situations, whatever, anytime I verbalized, like I've made it in my mind up in my heart that, you know what, I need to change. I want to be better. Lord, I want to step away from this to get better. This is what I truly want. Anytime I verbalize that and understand when I verbalize that or I'm thinking that, that's me looking at stuff that I've been doing, open my eyes up and realizing I need to step away from that. This ain't gonna do nothing but cause me problems. This is my vice. This is I've been no, I don't need to cling on to that. It's time to go in the better direction. Anytime I've had those experiences, you know what happens? Cell phone, the past calls you, literally. I tell you this, and like I said, I'm not gonna go into to real personal stories, but let's say dealing with bad relationships, things that don't work out, or moving on to something that's better. It's always the things that you moved away from, or whatever those vices, those people, whatever it is, anything that wasn't good for you. It's always when you've moved beyond that, or you've chosen to let it go. You literally get a call from the past trying to bring you right back, like straight up. You know, or you'll be talking to somebody like that, and in the way you express that your thought process changed, and somehow they become your enemy right then and there in the weirdest way. And it kind of blows my mind. Like sometimes. Now, I don't. I can tell you with this current pandemic. The funny thing is, I've had some experiences with people, or whatever. But more recently, I want to say, I've there was something in my life I need to change. I need to change this up, get away from this. I want my life to be better. I made it up in my mind uh, during this year when I decided to get back in the beginning when I changed my career over to a different profession. When I decided to get back into school, and when I decided to start really thinking about the things that made me happy, like sometimes if you're looking at these videos, these are the figures. I'm not gonna show those off today, but I got to that whole customizing 118 scale figures. I'll talk about that sometime. But point is, when I've gotten to a point to reach this point where I decided I want to be happy, I don't want to be old Leroy constantly worrying about shit, constantly stressing, constantly getting myself into situations, getting involved with people that I don't need to be involved with. I noticed this time around when I finally let a lot of that stuff go and decided I wanted to pursue happiness, that phone ring literally, and I've gotten two, or no, not ring, text messages, and it's people who I haven't talked to. One I talked to, I want to say more in more recent memory, and it was something that ended on a bad positive note. Tried to do the friendship shit, and then it was weirdness, and I'm kind of shaking a little bit because certain people will remind you of other people you've dealt with. There is a trend with, not a trend. There's a specific type of behavior people have, and I'm not gonna go deep into that. But then I get a text from that person, and then I get a text from another person who I haven't talked to in years. And I mean, it's got to be over 4 or 5 years, just out of nowhere. And the thing is when I've dealt with people, especially ones that have been attracted to me, what's funny is when in the beginning, when you're doing the stuff that you're doing, and how people approach you and how they look at you and all, like for instance, I'm a black dude, mildly handsome and all that. People always thinking sexually. And it's funny because they'll say certain things to you when you in that world where like they want to know what's going on downstairs or this and that. Each person has their own way of how they approach a person, the things that they say, they speeches or their patterns of speech. So when this person reaches out to me more recently or whatever, I know at first I didn't know who it was, then told me the name. I'm like, all right, it is what it is. But that old pattern emerges. It's like, oh, so what's going? I'm like, I'm not about that. Like, I've moved on from being that kind of person. There's a point where you have to make a choice. When I say make a choice, you got to make it at this stage in life, especially if you watching this video right now in 2020, right now. I'm gonna tell you what. The way the world's going right now, you have to make a choice. You either gonna improve or you're gonna stay the same damn person or make the same mistakes that you've been making that you know you've been making, and you're gonna get what you get straight up. Now I'm not gonna sugarcoat that for you. You're either gonna be if you know you're fucking up right now, excuse the language, you're either gonna make a choice to get it together and be a better person and ascend or get to wherever you need to be at in life or be who you need to be, or you're gonna decide not to. I'm just not going to evolve. I'm just going to stay doing what I'm doing. You choose that mindset, and you basically gonna get everything that comes with that. And tying it back, when that happened, I already made the choice that hey, I want to be better. I can't do this shit no more. Most people will look and say, "Oh, you're successful. You seem to be doing good. You got this and that." I know myself. I know myself better than anybody else can know me. To a degree, I'll even say I know myself better than my parents do. I know what I need to change, and that's what I decided to do. Go that way and all that. But when you're going that way, that fucking past comes out of nowhere, and you reaching up here is like no, and it's trying to pull you back. So it is what it is. I've gotten away from that stuff, and I know as life goes on. Oh, I'm not gonna fool myself. And if you're one of these people, don't fool yourself either. You might get better on one aspect of whatever. You might get away from some. I'm gonna call them demons that are not demonic oppression or spiritual shit, whatever the fuck it is that's negative. You might be doing good right now, but like I said, this world will reach out and touch your ass. Don't think it won't try again. Don't think that you've got to a certain point that things are going so great right now that, oh, life is good. You start getting into that thought process. There's no such thing as a rainy day. And then the rain comes pouring, and then you learn the hard way again, and now you're having that same struggle. Now, you've either become a stronger person from that point and get away from it, or you haven't, and you're still dealing with that. For people who are dealing with post-traumatic stress along these lines of what I've talked about in this video, here's what I will say to you. Well, you've been one of those people that dealt with demonic or spiritual oppression, or you've been one of these people who's been scared out of something you love or seen something that you did not believe in that's changed your whole thought process. Understand, there are a lot of people who definitely go through this and have dealt with this. For the spiritual portion of it, I turn to prayer. I started picking up on my beliefs, but I also started realizing there were things I need to change and let go of and stay away from. It's a struggle. It's said that the man's struggle is not with mankind. It is with the flesh and maybe spirit, the spiritual oppressors of this world or whatever. If you believe in that, or whether you believe it or not, that's what it is. We're struggling against our own inner spirit. We're struggling against other spirits. Because I mean, if you think about it, if you truly believe that we are spiritual beings, and a friend of mine, Ricky, had put this into perspective for me the other day when I talked to him. He asked me like, you ever stop to think that maybe we're spiritual beings that have come to this world to have a human experience, to learn what it's like to be human and go through that? Well, if that's the case and all that, then I guess there's a lot of stuff that comes with it, and most of us are still learning that. But if you're one of those people, I would say turn to prayer in that case, and try to figure out the things that led you to being oppressed or that you were holding on to. And when I was tying this more back to the stuff that people actually know about post traumatic stress, if you're one of those people where you lost a friend or you lost a buddy and you constantly worried about that and you letting it drag you down and you jumping going into those vices, all I can tell you is that you have to reconcile. And I say reconcile, you have to realize, you have to accept not the simple fact of it is what it is done, and move on from it. You have to accept that, it's not necessarily that you've done your best. For that situation, you've done the only thing you could do. There's certain things you can't change. Some situations are not your fault. It was something. It was meant for somebody else, or it was meant. The situation how it played out was meant to play out that way, and it is not something you need to hold on to or whatever. You're not meant to drag yourself down the dirt with this. And some veterans do struggle with that. Some people, period, struggle with that. Of you Monday morning quarterbacking yourself. You're thinking of all things that you could have did better. If you've been in a situation, we all do this. Oh man, if I'd only did this, if I'd only did that, what? Oh my God, what could have happened? Could have been better. Could have been this. Could have been that. Oh Lord Jesus, is there a way I can turn this around? Some shit you just can't turn around. You can't change. Life experience. It is what it is. And even when those images are playing out in your head, for me, I've come to accept with certain things that, look, I had a mindset at a certain point in my life. I thought I was doing the right thing in those situations. It is what it is. That's how I look at it. If you're looking at deploying or whatever, you're one of those people that's worried about whether you focusing on like having to kill somebody in battle. At the end of the day, you were a soldier. You were doing your job. You in that point in time believed that you were doing the right thing. We were told we were doing the right thing, and this is what it had to be. So now, years later, when you're looking back on those moments, when I say reconcile, I mean you have to accept whether it was right or wrong. I believed in my heart at the time I was doing the right thing. It is what it is. How do I not put myself in that situation again? How do I be better? If you're dealing with a loss, and it's a traumatic loss or whatnot, once again, we all got a number. We all got to go at some point. And I'm not trying to, and I'm not playing this off or making anybody feel bad. I don't want to do that. But I will say is that some things when it's somebody's time, it's somebody's time. You have to accept in that moment that this happened. This is part of the process of life. You come into the world and you leave this world, and all of us ain't leaving the exact same way. Straight up, best friends forever, relationships, marriage, children, family, friends, acquaintances, lovers, whatever. Whatever your relationship is with people these days, no matter what, all of us ain't leaving the world the same way. And when I say that, I've had to learn this for myself that I have to accept that at some point in time, I could be the last man standing. I could lose everybody I ever cared about. And, for every sad situation, I can't change that. Even with the incident with my brother or whatnot, I used to Monday morning quarterback myself all the freaking time. Was I good older ceiling? Was I my brother's keeper? If I wasn't away in the military doing this, could I have been here setting an example? In the reality, there's a shit I could have done to change that. I was so mad about the situation and blaming people and looking at it a certain way. I got to come to realize that, hey, look, this is the example he was going off of. This is how he was living. Going down those roads is just a matter of time before what happens happens. And I can't hold on to that because I was living my life. This is the experiences I had to have. This is what I had to go through to get to being who I am today. So I reconcile with the situation and let it go. It sometimes will make me sad when I think about it, but I also of it this way, and not even just the situation with loss. Any person that's not here anymore, and there's been quite a few losses, and if you're watching this video, you've probably experienced some, of we know some of the same people. If when somebody's gone, when we lose them, when they're not here with us anymore, when we go through that Monday morning quarterbacking, a way of thinking is a way of thinking is is this. It's about trying to live a life that they can't be here to live. In other words, it's like this person can't be here to experience certain aspects of life, but I'm still here to do it myself. So you basically, especially these are people that cared about you that you lost, they will want to see you sit here struggling and tripping and going through those, worried about them. If they were looking at, they'd be like, I don't want you to be sad. Keep living, move on, do what I can't do. And then people here will tell you that, like, look, there's nothing you can do about that. You have to continue on with a purpose. You're here for a reason. Whether you know what your purpose is or you got to create it for yourself. You're here for a reason. Being stagnant or holding on to those old ghosts, as I call them, is not going to make you any better. Thinking about something over and over again that's already done, it's not going to make you any better. And when you're trying to live your life and you holding on to that shit, you can't expect to be better in life. If you're so stuck on yesterday and you basically spending today worrying about the shit that happened yesterday, well, you know this day is going to end and the next day is going to come if you wake up the next day. So that's what I would say. Prayer for the demonic oppression or whatnot. Uh, I would, and spiritual stuff. That's a tricky topic to talk about. And there are more people that are more versed in this one. For people who actually have been around and seen shit that other people don't believe in, once again, you once you've accepted that this is how the world is, and people most likely won't believe that, but you know it is that way. All you can do, just like I tell people who are going through loss, is be like, all right, this is what it is. I know this world. How do I better navigate this world now? If I know this is going on over here, and I got all these people focused on here, clearly there's more truth going on with all this. So how do I get myself in tune and keep moving forward in life? And the other thing is talking to people. You never know. Everybody I've discovered over time, and I learned this in the military, especially because people. I told you my story on here. I done heard some stories from guys in the military. And I'm like, oh, for real? Like you, wow. But everybody has a story. Everybody has an experience. And nowadays with social media, you can reach out and talk to anybody or listen to other people's stories, or just like I'm doing right now, create a video and share your story. So, all right. With all that being said, I'm not. I don't think I dragged on too much with this, but I'm gonna get to doing these push-ups, and all right, let's rock and roll. All right, here we go with the push-ups. I tell you what, when you get older, this gets more difficult to do. 25. All right, here we go. Whew, tired today. Here we go. 25. All right, folks. Take care of yourselves and each other.